Welcome back to the channel. It's Mattress again. Now, the topic I'm going to talk about today, some patterns going on in the community, and something that I notice anytime someone gets a Grom that's brand new, especially from the dealership, and they want to start stunting or even considering it, they start getting into modified oil pumps and other modifications that may or may not ruin your bike. There are a couple oil pumps in the market. I'm pretty sure one of them is the Katako oil pump, but the most popular one and one that I've bought myself is the Grom Beardo oil pump that Grom Beardo makes. Now, Grom Beardo is pretty well known in the stunting community, and I've met hundreds of people with them and hundreds of people without them. Let's get into it. Okay, just to clarify, I'm not here to attack anyone's business or talk badly about anyone. Literally, Grom Beardo, the one that we're going to be talking about today, he is subscribed to my channel, and I've had few and little conversations with him. So I'm not going to say I know the guy, but I know of him, and I know he knows of me. So this is an attack on you, sir, but I will talk about something I have been seeing a lot. And in fact, we will get into my conclusion for this argument, but I do not believe anyone should be modifying their Groms and getting oil pumps. But if I were to get another oil pump, it definitely would not be a Katako oil pump. It would probably be one from Grom Beardo himself, like I did the first time. You can get them directly from him, or you can order them on MK Stunts online. So let's get into this argument a little bit further. I'm also not saying this to kiss up to anyone's ass. I'm going to say things how they are. That's why I'm giving my experience as to this. This is all anecdotal data. I haven't ran any like control experiments or anything to say why you should or should not get these oil pumps. This is just all anecdotal data and what I've learned from stunters that have been in this community way longer and have abused bikes for thousands more miles than I have. Overall, though, I am going to talk about some of my own issues that I've had with the oil pump, and also issues that I've personally experienced, and ones that I've seen happen multiple times in my own city. These pumps aren't always 100% sealed. That is their biggest issue, and that can cause oil pressure to be lost, whether it be a top end failure, like most people, I would say 99% of cases, where the head gets starved because they are mid wheelie, or one where the oil pump itself is actually defective and it causes the whole bottom end and the crank to separate from the piston, like I had happen to me. Now, my case might be rare, but I have seen it happen before. But I know that there are tens of thousands of people with these oil pumps out and about, so results may vary. But I will say something that I do see most stunters doing that have been in this game for a long time. Important thing. Why do people think they need an aftermarket oil pump? So like most stunters grab an alternate aftermarket oil pump because they think that wheelies starve the motor. And yeah, oil does move away from the pickup when you're at balance point, but here's the truth after hanging around actual stunters. Most stunters slash riders just overfill their oil. On the Honda Grom, we have a sight glass on the right side of the motor. When you're doing an oil change or you're adding oil, there's two little lines. I would recommend you don't even pay attention to those two lines if you're going to be stunting. Just overfill your oil from the very beginning. As soon as it hits the top of the sight glass, so all the glass better be covered with oil, you're good. So it's going to be like a quart and 0.1, maybe 0.25 extra quarts. So a quart and a quarter extra for your Grom, or maybe an eighth extra. Depends on your Grom, the years, everything. I have a 2025. Mine tends to take an extra 0.25. Essentially, that's what helps you compensate for oil moving around while doing wheelies, especially long ones. And guess what? That alone solves most of what people think the pump fixes. Honda is an old company. They have made the most motorcycles in the entire world. I think they're the number one engine manufacturer in the entire world. I think they know what they're doing with their motors. And they're not going to release something that's going to allow itself to be starved from the factory, especially when they know what most people are doing with these little mini bikes. Most people aren't using them like we would in other countries in Southeast Asia or South Asia. In the US, the Grom is popular because it's a very cult classic vehicle and also has the huge advantage of teaching people how to stunt without the cost or the injury that a bigger bike could. You're not spending $10,000 to wheelie a ZXXR brand new from the factory and then totaling it while you're learning. Instead, you can get a $4,200 Grom out the door and learn off that. So what's the real issue? The real issue and the problem with some aftermarket pumps, it's including Grom Beardo's units, is that they're not always perfectly sealed from the factory. If the pump body isn't 100% tight, even a tiny gap can let air in and not oil. Instead of pulling oil into the top of your motor head, you're going to pull in air and it's going to starve your motor, and boom, you're going to get way too much combustion, too much pressure, and you're going to blow your O-ring, blow your piston, and destroy your head, causing premature damage. And if it pulls air, oil pressure drops, the top end gets starved, the bearings start failing, the head gets scored, and the crank and rod can get destroyed, like in mine. And that's how you go from a $100 pump that you thought was going to fix your bike to a $1,000 rebuild really quick. So anecdotal evidence, I have a bunch. We have Mr. Eat Pray Moto here in Dallas, Texas, and he repairs a lot of motorcycles. He is the number one stunt repair guy here in DFW. He does a lot of Groms. I've talked to him about this problem, and that's what actually gave me the inspiration to start this video. He showed me 3 or 4 separate videos of units with the Grom Beardo oil pump having their heads blown within 250 to 500 miles of install. And the installs were done correctly. I wouldn't say professionally, because no one's taking these to Honda themselves to get them done. This is an aftermarket mod that does void your warranty if Honda finds out. But they were done correctly. These are easy motors to work on. They made sure the O-rings were on properly, all that. The problem was the oil pump. Now, the way he tested it in the videos that he sent me was he put water inside of it and then blew. And bubbles started, coming out of the oil pump on the long shaft, meaning that the shaft itself that was added by Grom Beardo wasn't properly sealed. That's an issue. Watch Brian's video on his green Grom. He talks about how he actually is one of the main people giving this tip away. Just overfill the bike. He's had a Grom that he abuses and uses like no other, and I don't think he's ever had to do a top end replacement on his. I mean, obviously these are small motors, so you will eventually blow ahead, but if you do and you overfill, it at least won't be from doing a long wheelie. A lot of people think that the stock pump is weak. It's really not. Honda made it reliable, consistent, and properly sealed. Honda's not releasing crappy stuff in the market. And I'm not saying that Grom Beardos or Katakos or whoever else oil pumps are crappily made. They just will never have the consistency and the manpower to do things the way that Honda does. That's just the truth. And the truth is, most stunt related Grom failures come from not checking oil often, not changing oil enough, running low oil, running hot oil, and doing long wheelies with the engine at max RPM. So a lot of clutch in rev bombs. I can't remember the name right now. Clutch coasters. And that's how you destroy an engine. Because there's really not going to be any oil coming up. Keep it a little bit lower. Stay a balance point. Maybe drop back every now and then, but don't drop back and expect the Grom to stay there for a mile and it not break. It's a Grom. It's $3,000. It's really not the stock pump's fault. We're not using it for what it's meant to be used for. So what's the solution? What should you do instead? These are the things that would actually help more than a pump mod. Using the correct oil. Use good synthetic oil that holds viscosity at high RPM. What I personally would use, and let me go run and get it for you. And this is what a lot of my stunting friends use. on all their bikes, big bikes and small bikes, some Rotella T6 TW40 or TW30. 30 is what the Grom needs from the factory. If you live in a place like Texas and it's not cold, so not in the winter, I would get TW40. That probably allows you to run the motor on those hot 100 plus degree days. This goes for anyone living, well, really anywhere in the US and maybe outside of the US. I know New York can get into the 100 degrees. California can definitely get up there as well. Texas definitely does it with that dry heat that kills you. So I mean, these motors aren't humans, so they're definitely getting abused a lot more than we think. And, rides here in Texas can go pretty far. I actually rode this bike from Saginaw, Texas to downtown Dallas for a few weeks in that 100 plus degree weather. That is around 50 miles one way. And because I was taking back roads. So, yeah, overfill slightly before long wheelie sessions. Fill to the sight glass all the way. Stunters literally do this on purpose for a reason. Install an oil cooler. It really does help. Now, on these little Groms, I just wouldn't even do the oil cooler even. That's more of like you're really abusing and using it. And you also have a top end replacement. So you have a big head. So you went from 125 cc's to like 155 cc's. That's the only time I would get an oil cooler. You kind of do need it once you've upgraded the motor in that way. Overall, I really just say run the right oil and overfill that sight glass. And then every time you do a wheelie, don't drop back past balance point every single time more than 30 seconds. Keep it back there for 30 seconds and then get back into balance point. You do not need to drop back all the way and starve your motor of oil. Yes, it's fun. Yes, it's cool. Yeah, scrape. But scrape and then drop it back down. Show off a little, do some knee knockers here and there. Switch up, do double pegs, double back pegs, You don't need to be dropping it back all the way for a whole minute and destroying your motor. It's even with the oil pump, there's only so much that physics can do there for you. Overall, I'm not saying that Grom Beardo is a bad dude or that he's selling junk. I know he works hard, and I know a lot of people have had good experiences with him, but from what I've personally seen and what I've gone through, the pump mod is more risky than it's worth. If his pumps were 100% sealed every time, maybe it'd be a different story, but it only takes one bad seal to grenade a motor, and I've seen it happen in this city at least 5 times, including my own. So, what's the closing message for this video? That's my honest breakdown overall. If you want reliability, keep the stock mod, the stock pump for reliability. Overfill when needed, and don't chase crazy long wheelies unless you're ready for top-end rebuilds. And most of us are, especially when you get a Grom. You know what you're getting yourself into. All right. Let me know in the comments if you've had a pump fail or if you've run the Grom Beardo pump with good results. I'm always down to hear what other people have experienced. And hit like, hit subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks, y'all.